welcome back to Lost in Theaters, the podcast where we talk about movies that have slipped through the cracks of pop culture and cinema. I'm Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi. And who is that? Was my sister Ruth.
Yes, my name is Ruth.
And we're here with our first guests.
Yay!
Woo-hoo! We have the most talented Payton G. Reynolds and her manager, ENCARNACION.
Wow,
Pleasure to be here.
Little
Yeah,
dark.
thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you so much
Excellent.
for coming. I have to say, this week's movie was just a relief from last week's movie, which was, go back and listen to it, guys.
It was rough.
It was so traumatizing. So this was lovely by comparison.
Which is what?
Yeah, are you ready? It's Hot Rod, the 2007 movie from Paramount Studios, people.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paramount.
So, Payton, you've seen the movie before you watched it again for this podcast. Now, when was the first time you saw this film?
I watched this film, I don't know, like pretty close to when it came out, because it was like a Netflix original, and I watched it with my brother. Then they took it off Netflix.
Oh.
We threw a fit.
Yeah.
It was later purchased on DVD. We watched it again, and now it is on many streaming platforms. So.
Yeah, as I watched it on Hulu, yeah. Okay. And Deanna, Ruth, what's your... Hello.
Never seen it. Apparently, I saw it at some point and fell asleep. So that tells you
what it tells you.
Reviews.
Yeah.
I would like it to be noted that Deanna might have narcolepsy, so it's not a
fair
rating
point.
on the movie
Yeah.
that she fell asleep.
Sure.
Yeah. She does fall asleep a lot.
I do. That's my one talent I'm good at. Is falling asleep.
Yeah. So, well, Payton, since we are the ones who've seen it, who do we think this movie's for? This is the zero spoiler section for those new to the podcast. We want to tell people who want no information about the movie what if they might be interested in the movie. Yeah, or like parallel movies. I was trying to think of some earlier, because it's like, it's simultaneously sincere and satire.
It is. I would say this movie is for ages probably 13 and up.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Because it is PG-13.
Yeah.
But also, I would have found this hilarious when I was 13.
Yeah.
It's for daredevils, aspiring daredevils, and
Ooh.
also people who hate daredevils.
Yes.
I think that's like the spectrum here.
Spectrum there,
Wow.
yeah, for sure. And I think people who, well, what sort of mood? This is one of the things I think. You know, sometimes you're in the mood for a movie, and you gotta be in the mood for a funny movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be in the mood for a funny movie. It's like sometimes funny movies could go either way, where you're like, oh, it's kind of an emotional funny movie. This, you can't be in the really sincere state of mind. You have to be like, that's hilarious.
Is this like Nacho Libre level?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's what we're
Okay.
looking for.
Nacho Libre is really high up, mainly because of my
Yeah.
last name. I put that movie like way up there on the pedestal. So.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say it's a Nacho Libre for daredevils, not wrestlers.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you know those are mutually exclusive?
I did. They are.
Yeah. No, but that's exactly, I'd say so. And it's different than, so often I feel like Napoleon Dynamite and Nacho Libre are coupled, and I would say that it's more on the Nacho Libre side than the Napoleon Dynamite side,
Okay.
where
Yeah,
Napoleon is just so, like,
So like offbeat. That's
Oh.
what makes
Deadpan.
it funny. Yeah.
like the ultimate offbeat.
Mhm.
Like, that wasn't a beat, was it? Yeah.
Audible nodding from Peyton.
Yeah.
I forget that you cannot see me nodding.
Yep.
Yes, I would agree with that, mainly because I don't really like Napoleon Dynamite. But
Ooh,
I
me
really love this
neither.
movie.
This one, yes, Hot Rod. It's glorious. Okay, so, Ruth,
Yes,
Deanna,
Rachel?
Mhm.
for people who haven't seen the movie, are there questions you could think of someone might want to ask about what they've heard so far?
Yeah, what's the filming style like?
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh.
I would say like not out of the ordinary. I mean, it's
No.
not stylized in an obvious
Okay.
way, for sure.
Does it?
There's a couple clips that's like from a cell phone point of view isn't there?
Yes, there are a couple, like,
Okay.
you know, in action sort of thing, but it's definitely not something that's like Hail Caesar or
Are there any VFX to look for?
no. I mean, you don't.
Okay,
it's not
okay,
that sort of
moving
thing.
But okay, I got a question for y'all. Does it feel more like a TV movie, or does it feel like a movie you could go see in a theater?
That's
Like, production-wise.
so interesting.
I would say it's better from the couch.
Yes.
Huh.
But simultaneously, its quality is not such that you're like, oh, it could never have been in theaters, right? Like, it's definitely high quality.
Okay.
But I'd say you're right, Payton. It was definitely, like, you could watch it on the couch very easily, and that would feel more comfortable, probably.
Mainly because I like to comment a lot on it, and that's frowned upon in theaters.
Yeah, they don't like that so much.
No, they don't.
Unless you're at a premiere, I found out recently. If there's, like, a big thing, you're allowed to gasp audibly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really?
And applaud when something great happens.
Yeah.
I want to go to more premieres now.
We should go to a Star Wars premiere. There's
Yeah.
a lot of applauding.
I would go in a heartbeat. Okay, so now on to the medium spoilers section for those. So general plot, okay. A aspiring daredevil attempts to fundraise to save his father.
And his stepfather.
His stepfather, that's right.
From what?
His father's ill, his
Okay.
stepfather's ill, and
Okay.
he is trying to raise money for a surgery. Yeah.
This sounds like a hilarious premise.
Oh, isn't it
is.
just drop dead funny?
No.
No, okay, so the key word is aspiring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the humor in this movie like a lot of physical humor?
Yes, but
Yeah.
not
Like slapstick, like, oh, I'm a daredevil, watch me fail, like, woo!
yeah,
No,
more
okay.
like that sort of
All right.
thing. Yeah, definitely. But well done, I would say. It didn't feel, none of the jokes felt like, for lack of a better word, like I was being beat over the head. Right? It all felt very naturally, never was I tired of the daredevil jokes.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're very creative, I would say, in there.
Yeah.
Coming up with
You
things.
kind of know what's coming,
right,
but also it's still funny.
yeah. That's why I said you have to be. Oh yes, and this is actually very important. You gotta be in that mood, that funny mood, because it's definitely some of the jokes really are just bizarre.
Yeah, cool beans.
Cool beans. Cool beans. Cool beans. Cool.
Oh, you weren't kidding.
Okay.
No, it's crucial that there's just some real bizarre ones, but yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
Any medium spoiler questions?
This is very short.
I know.
It's a very basic
That's
plot.
a very basic. It's not like you have to explain a whole lot. There's it's his stepdad. He has a stepbrother. He's got a crew.
He hates his stepdad.
He hates his stepdad.
Really?
It plays a major component that will be fleshed out more in the major spoiler section. The loathing of his stepdad. Yeah. And okay, I would say that it does feel like it's a satire of those classic 80s sports movies where it's sort of like, and to the point that the freeze frame at the end,
Yeah.
or like,
Okay.
oh, right, like it's very much in that, but at the same time the plot feels so sincere. It's very weird. It's a very weird thing. Yeah, it doesn't feel like they're bashing it on the head, the genre as a whole.
Huh.
Yeah. Are we ready?
I think we are.
I'm so ready.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay. So on to the section where we just it opens up. And the thing is, it opens up on a mustached daredevil about to make a jump. Okay? And he goes for the jump, and what happens, Payton? It's so bad.
You're talking about the ramp and
the
the ramp
race.
race.
The ramp on the first jump just shatters.
Ooh.
And the best part is when he asks his crew, he says, "Did you reinforce the ramp?" And one of the guys says, "No," and he says, "Even better."
No.
Oh, and right before he takes the jump, he goes, "Soul of an eagle."
Nacho Libre. Nacho Libre.
There you go. And then there's this like, it's normally, like we said, it is high quality, like, but then there's this like really stock photo, like eagle feature thing that goes right beside his head that's like, "Soul of an eagle." And he goes for his thing. And it's yeah. Oh, but it's a moped. Okay. That was the thing. I've never actually seen a moped. I've had one described to me by my father.
Now hold on.
Yeah.
You go to a campus.
Yeah, no, but mopeds have they're bike motorcycles. So mopeds aren't just scooters.
I repeat.
You have to pedal.
Yes?
I haven't seen one of those. I only see like scooter ones.
There's like 5. They line them up on the bike racks.
I don't think so, Ruth.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think that's the same thing. I
Yeah.
feel like mopeds are very bike looking
That's what I mean.
until they're motorcycles.
They're bikes.
Well, okay then. Thank you, Ruth. I'm just saying.
Either way.
It was so he's like pedaling this thing. And it
Oh my god.
yeah. It's and then, you find out so then it cuts to a shot of him and I had to process and I thought it was a jump backwards because he didn't have a mustache anymore.
Oh.
And he's, biking around and you find out, about he's telling people about his next stunt. He's gonna jump the pool.
$2.
$2 to watch him jump the pool. He's handing out flyers to like children, and it's great. And you meet his crew. One of his like first lines is, "I found fireworks in the bathroom. You want to go light them up?" And they do. They go into the parking lot, and they're just such sad little fireworks.
I think we should mention that all of these men are like 30 to 40 years old.
Ooh.
Yes.
But they're pretending to be teenagers.
Oh.
They all live at home.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
It's pretty evident.
That took some processing too, because I was like, why aren't they at school? I did ask that question.
Whoa.
Why aren't they at school? And then we meet the girl next door, and one of her qualifications for joining the crew was, "You've been to college and all that stuff." And it's because they were like the same age, but she went off to college and they didn't, and they just stuck around, and here we are. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. But we find out he's preparing for doing, he goes to, so then we find out he one of the people in his crew is his stepbrother, and his stepbrother, he's, what's the main character's name?
Rod,
of course.
Whoa.
I was like, okay,
Rod.
He's going and he's putting in all this padding and he's, getting ready and it looks like he's getting ready for a fight. And his stepbrother's like, "You don't have to do this, man." And then Rod is like, "You don't understand. He's your dad, so he loves you by, nature. But me, I gotta earn it. I gotta fight." So he goes into the basement, and his stepfather and him straight up have, like, a showdown. Like,
What?
they just try to beat each other up.
Beating.
Yeah, they just, like, boxing. Like, they're, like, very...
You don't have to do this, man.
You don't have to do this. He's like, "This is how I earn my stepfather's, my stepfather's love."
Frank's respect.
Frank's respect.
Yeah, he also has to, doesn't he put the mustache back on?
This is when I found out that it was a fake mustache. Right here.
What?
So every time he goes and does something, like, amazing, he puts on this fake mustache.
like Evel Knievel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I really appreciated the take out the trash stunt that happened right after that, where his mom or his stepdad's like, "Take out the trash now that we've finished our," and so he's like, "Oh," and he goes out and he does this sort of like running dive jump at the trash can and like lands at first and falls over. And of course that's when he meets the cute neighbor girl and it's like, oh, a budding romance perhaps. Perhaps. Yeah.
Perhaps.
And he invites her to the pool jump, right? To go see, because it's
Yeah.
going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is a daredevil who's amazing, clearly.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And, oh, yes, in the process between the jump and this meeting the girl and inviting her, we find out the backstory. And his dad was Evel Knievel's, like,
Stunt double
pre-jump guy.
Yeah.
So he would do all of the jumps before Evel Knievel to make sure that they were safe. And, of course, he wants to be like his dad, who died. Well, we don't find that out till later. But
Go ahead.
yeah, he
Go ahead
died.
and talk
His
about
dad
his dad.
died tragically in
Oh.
doing his own stunt for the first time.
Oh.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, this is awful. And it,
Can I describe that?
Yeah.
Okay, so Rod is describing to the cute neighbor girl later on in the story. He says, "You want to see a picture of my dead dad? He's really dead," which is something very weird to keep in your pocket. And so he goes through the story and he says, "So my dad was getting ready for a jump, and the bike exploded." And the handlebars went through his head, and then he died instantly the next day.
That's right. He died instantly the next day. Yeah. That's the story.
So you find that out later, but
Yeah,
I just really love that part.
It's a really good line. I did. That's what I was such a, like, the next day. Yeah. Yeah. And, we find out about this fellow named Richardson who wants to join the crew.
Oh, no.
Richardson's a weirdo, even for the weirdos. He has this dance. What's the best part? It's like, oh, they're like, what can you do, Richardson? He's like, I can do this dance, and he does this dance, and even like the crew are like, huh, like that's a funny thing to do.
Is it a good dance?
I would call it a dorky dance.
A dorky
Which,
dance.
there is a time and a place, and this is one of those things where you're supposed to laugh at the dorky dance, because it's like, you know.
He's also a full-grown male.
Yeah, they're all full-grown men.
This is not like a kid trying to join their
No,
crew.
yeah. So he prepares to jump. He does the jump. He doesn't even make it halfway across the pool. Like, it's so sad. And but so it's interesting. I find it interesting that movies like this, I am cheering. I really want him to make it.
Yeah.
And I know
he's not.
it's not gonna work. But you're like, oh, I really am looking forward to the fact that he might make it.
My favorite part of the pool jump is Dave, and he's wearing like a rubber ducky inflatable, and he is marking out, like mapping out around the pool. He gets to the other side and he's like, "Yeah, Rod, this is standard size."
Yeah. He's like measuring the standard pool. Yeah. But who didn't come to the pool jump? Kevin, because his dad was sick. This is when Rod didn't know that his dad was sick.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
And Kevin didn't come, and he comes in back home, and he's like, Kevin, where were you? And he's like, Kevin's like crying on his
totally
dad.
nailed the jump.
That's the one. He's like dripping wet. Yeah. And then his mother breaks the news to Rod that his stepfather has a heart disease and is dying. And he's like, she says, we didn't want to tell you because we knew you, might not be able to take it. And he's like, well, that's why you didn't tell Kevin and me. And then his mom is like, well, Kevin knew.
Kevin knew the whole time.
Rod is like, oh. So his stepdad needs a new heart. And then here's the thing. The whole room, there's like several people in the room, and they all leave because his mom is like, let's give Rod a chance to talk to his stepdad, and so everyone leaves.
Oh,
and this is part of like, I think where it's like playing on, those things in those sports movies when they have the talk. And so he goes up and he's like, you can't die. How can I earn your respect if you're dead? And they have this like fight. It's really intense. And you think he's gonna hit this dying man, but the whole point is that Rod can't like fight him to earn his respect because he's dying.
Yeah.
And so
Conundrum.
it costs $50,000 for a new heart. So Rod says, I'm gonna get you better and then beat you to death. What? Oh. And then comes the dance in the woods sequence.
It's
What?
It's Have you seen Footloose?
Oh, is it a spoof on Footloose?
Yes, it's a spoof on Footloose. So in the movie Footloose, Kevin Bacon goes to dance out his feelings, and he goes to an abandoned barn, woods area, and he dances out his feelings. And this was very much a spoof off of that.
But the best part is he does all these like flips, and front flips and back flips, and then he trips and falls down the mountain.
What?
You think it's a hill, and you think he's just gonna go into the ditch, and then he keeps falling and falling.
Yes.
Is it a Princess Bride? Is that what they're alluding to? He falls, and they keep showing you shots of like the forest, and then at one point they show you a picture of the mountain, and then you realize that he's falling down the mountain. And he sees this sign at the bottom of the mountain that says, "One big jump."
No.
And the sign has nothing to do with daredevils.
No, it's just a road sign.
A random road sign.
One big jump.
It's a skydiving.
Oh, it's right.
Oh, yeah.
It's skydiving. Yes.
Yeah.
One big jump.
sign.
And there's a moment when I thought maybe he's gonna go skydiving, and then right away you find out he's got this plan, and he's gonna jump 15 buses. And the proceeds are all gonna go to give his stepdad a new heart. And someone points out, they're like, "Hey, that's as many as Evel Knievel did?" And Rod's like, "No, it's one more than Evel Knievel."
I looked it up.
Yeah. And so then they have to explain the plan. So they need to get $5,000 so that they can build get all the buses and get all the equipment and stuff. So that's they have to raise this $5,000 to get the whole rest of the process going and get the $50,000. I think it's $50,000.
Yes.
So the girl next door, whose name is Denise, she officially joins the team. There's this really funny introduction sequence.
Oh my gosh.
Where Rod says, "Let's all introduce ourselves to the new member of the team, Denise." And he's like, "My name's Rod, and I like to party." And then who goes? I don't remember all the team's names.
Dave.
Dave goes next, and Dave's like, "I'm Dave, and I like to party." And Rod's like, "No, you have to pick a different thing." "I like to party, and my name is Dave." No, not all of us can party. And it goes through the whole group, all of which it turns out likes to party, but it's a wonderful little.
Yeah, and Kevin says, "Hi, my name is Rod, and I like to party." No, your name's not Rod.
Kevin,
Classic
they go
sibling.
through this training because Rod has to train for jumping these 15 buses. So he's training naturally. So he trains, and the best line in the whole training sequence is it's very brief at the beginning of one of them, and the really intense one says, "Pools are perfect for holding water." It's like filling up a pool with water. He's just like, "Pools are perfect for holding water." And so they do this whole holding your breath for seconds thing.
Why?
Like a
Because they do not a montage actually. They're quite distinct. Like he holds his breath. He does G-force training.
No.
It's a disaster. He's on the skateboard on the side of a mountain, and he goes, "Okay, my safe word is whiskey." That's what he says. And
Says
then
what?
His safe word
is whiskey in case there's trouble, you know? And then he says on 3, let me go. And so he goes 1, 2, and they let him go. And the first thing he just goes, "Whiskey!" as he's flying down the side of this mountain. And he almost drowns in the pool, by the way. It's a disaster.
at that point, is it the spirit of the bottomless dolphin?
Yes!
Is the pool?
Spirit of the bottomless
And the
dolphin.
other guy's name is Rico. I looked it up.
Oh, Rico. Okay.
Rico's the big serious one. Dave's with the long hair.
Okay. Yes. Dave who almost dies. They have another dance party in the parking lot. We find out Denise has a boyfriend who's played by Will Arnett.
Yes.
Which is really funny because I feel as though Andy Samberg plays the protagonist, the main guy.
I feel like that should have come out way later.
Probably like in the beginning.
Yeah. So basically everyone there has been on SNL
Oh,
or
okay.
is pretty major
Right.
actor somehow got to do this little
Wow.
weird
thing. So one of the things I feel like Will Arnett and Andy Samberg are probably close to the same age.
Yes.
Like, and the thing is, Will Arnett looks so much older in this than Andy Samberg. It's so funny because he plays like, she's been away at college and she found this like lawyer boyfriend and he's got a convertible.
He's gonna be made junior partner this month.
Exactly. Yeah. And meanwhile, Rod is like as we've discussed so far,
A
daredevil.
child.
Aspiring daredevil. So there's a whole double date sequence and Evel Knievel, we find out, that's when we find out his dad was the test jumper, and it turns out Denise is just randomly we find out she's a great stunt person, which comes into play at no point. It's really very interesting.
Really?
They're on the beach or something, and he teaches her how to ride the moped, and she can do all these tricks, and Rod's like, oh. So he raises the $5,000 by doing like party tricks.
He gets blown up a lot.
He gets blown up a lot. He gets hit by a washing machine.
Yeah.
Ooh. He gets lit on fire.
Oh, part of his training, Rico chases him with his van.
It's as though he's being hunted by a wild animal. He's covered in padding in the woods, and then this van just comes out of nowhere and like nails him. It's so funny.
Good one, Rico.
That's the line. Good one, Rico. So then, his stepbrother has this great idea. He's been videoing this whole thing. So he puts together a movie, and Rod is so on board. So they hold a stunt movie at a local theater. They advertise. They hand out flyers. They're like, stunt movie, come see. And so everyone comes and sees, but they see what we've seen all along. And what does the crowd do? They laugh because it's so funny. But poor Rod is just heartbroken, and he goes up. And what does he do, Payton?
He rips the projector and he throws it out the window onto someone's car.
Yeah, it's awful.
I mean, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah,
if I had been him.
Been in that situation. It's perfectly within character. Yeah. He chucks it out the window and he rips up his mustache. No, that's later. So he has to use his $5,000 that they basically made $4,900, and he has to use it all to pay for this windshield. And then he gets home, and his mother breaks the news. Your father wasn't a stuntman. He was just a normal dude, and he choked on some pot.
Oh no!
What? It's just such a letdown, and Ron realizes that he's not a stuntman, and not a daredevil, and
It's not in his blood.
It's not in his blood, and that's when he rips off his mustache.
Oh.
And and I think the best reaction was, we just discussed his name.
Rico.
Rico says, "Who am I supposed to build ramps for now?" Because he breaks up the band and everybody has to go separate ways. And he's now dressing very formally in like a polo shirt with a tie. And but in the middle of the night one night, shortly after this, Dave calls him. And he says, "Not a big deal, dude, but could you like come pick me up and take me to like..." Does he say to the hospital? In the phone
to the
call?
hospital.
Yeah, is anything the matter? It's like, no, it's all good. And then Dave gets in the car and he has a piece of metal like in his eye.
Oh!
Dave, what happened? Well, he did some acid, and it just went downhill from there.
Yeah.
He decided to build a motorcycle or something. He built something he's got these tools.
Uh-oh.
And he's just got some metal, right, it's not in his eye, actually. It's right beside his eye.
He was being chased home by some mountains.
Yeah.
I think that's one of it.
That's the line. And as he is leaving, he gives, this great advice about, do you remember the advice, Payton? It's inspirational.
I don't
either.
remember. It was very inspirational.
It was so good, though. You'll have to watch the movie to see it. It's something as though, you were always really great at this, man. And thanks for being awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very un-Dave-like.
Yeah. And he comes home, and so he's in high spirits because he got these
the
great
best
words.
part.
Oh, did I?
Is that hospital? No, that's a trash can.
Right, he's going into the hospital. Hospital? Trash can. Continues on. His brother, he gets home, he's in high spirits, and his brother, Rod's brother, has at this point posted all of his videos on the equivalent of YouTube. Mm-hmm. Where was YouTube in 2007? Anybody?
It was YouTube.
It was the early days, right?
Yeah.
Or the middle of the early days. Yeah. So, and his brother gives him the good news. A radio station has seen this and decided
A radio station?
that they're gonna fund his jump for him. And then, we get cut to the next day and we meet the radio man. And
the AM radio
that's
man.
correct.
Not even FM.
No.
AM
radio.
Okay.
Because this jump is gonna be the comeback of AM radio.
Oh.
Yes, didn't you know? People are their lives are going to be changed and they're going to listen to AM radio again. And of course, Rod tries to call Denise to tell her what's happening, and of course, her boyfriend is a dweeb about it and doesn't tell her, because the boyfriend's a jerk, clearly, we've established. We haven't, actually, but he is. It's not great. And then, him and his stepdad have a little heart-to-heart about the jump, and he, gives the classic, I'm so hard on you because you'll have to be a man when I'm gone, and
you're gonna die if you do this.
You're gonna die if you do this. And then as he's going to the jump, on the day of, he and his buddies are all going to the jump, and the people, there's this song that's playing in the background as they go, and you're like, oh, this is really, it's a great inspirational song. And then it momentarily turns into a musical where the people in the town start singing the song. And then they sing the song so vigorously that it turns into a riot. Like a straight up mob breaks out in the middle of town, and Ron and his buddies just have to get out of there. And it's not explained ever, and it's so weird. Oh my gosh.
Can I quote Rico on
Yes,
this?
do it.
So they are all just running away from this mob who is straight up rioting, pillaging the town. And Rico goes, man, that was so scary. Like, I didn't have time to do anything. Meanwhile, Rico is holding a TV. Oh yeah, we didn't have time to do anything.
Nothing. And everyone just nods. Oh, it's so good. And Denise, of course, is hanging out with her boyfriend, and he goes into the store and he's listening to some dumb music, and then she turns on nice radio and she starts listening to AM radio. And what does she hear? About the jump that's coming, and she's so excited. And in that moment, she figures things out, and what's his name comes, and they talk, and then she breaks up with him. And this was this was so funny to me too. He's like, babe, wait. And you think normally that happens maybe once or twice, but babe, wait, babe, wait. He just goes on and on. And meanwhile, she's walking in the middle of the road, going around, trying to get a ride. She eventually gets in some car that drives her away. It's a strangely drawn out sequence.
Yeah, and he doesn't even move.
No, he's just standing in the car the whole time. Babe, wait! It's so bizarre. And of course, then then Rod... Oh, and then they give him gifts. He gets a real motorcycle, guys.
Aw.
And your hopes for Rod go so high when you see that he no longer drives a moped. You think, oh my gosh, you could do this, Rod. Ah, it's so exciting. And then he gives a speech, and I love this speech. Ladies and gentlemen, what is destiny? What is fate? Proceeds to say nothing about destiny or fate in the rest of the speech. Just opens those questions to the room at large. Yeah. And of course, Denise shows up.
Yay.
Everything's great. He goes up and he goes for the jump. And the money's coming in. They've got like these phone booths lined up, and they're making cash. You know, it's great. They've almost got there, but then it stops because they want to see what happens. You know,
Or hear what happens.
they want to hear what happens because then he goes and he makes the jump, and the best line during the jump, he's like, "Yeah, you really have to witness it to believe it, folks."
Because the radio station bought out all rights.
That's right.
So you have to listen to the radio. There's no cameras there.
His parents try to watch on TV, and the lady on TV says, "Nope, we won't show you because a local AM station has taken all the rights to this thing." And he jumps.
He summons the spirit animals.
Oh, he summons all of them.
Oh.
Yeah.
The fox.
That's right. The button-nosed dolphin.
Mm-hmm. The eagle.
The eagle.
I don't remember.
Something, and then there is the common house cat. I think is the last of the animals. And he jumps over all the buses and crashes terribly at the end. And you think, oh no,
He's dead.
He's dead. But they go and they tend to him, and in fact, he is getting up, and oh my goodness, he tries to walk, but he shouldn't walk because he's dying. And he says, "Sorry guys, I'm walking out of here." He walks up, and they raise the money, and it's amazing. And Ebenezer Scrooge is randomly in one of the buses. What? We don't know why.
We don't know why.
There's no context.
He's got a turkey.
He's got a turkey. Yeah. And then we cut to 6 months later.
Oh.
You know? And they have their showdown because he got the heart transplant, and they're gonna have Rod and his stepdad.
Beat him to death.
They're gonna have this beating to death.
Having a barbecue.
And so it's really bizarre because the whole family, it gets really intense because they bust out of the basement through several yards.
Oh.
And I think at one point someone uses a brick. But see, it's not bloody. It's not like a gory fight. It's
like
just
cartoon almost.
Yeah. It's a bit like I don't know.
I don't know.
It's really intense, but everything's fine.
Frank's heart is stronger than ever.
That's right.
Oh,
That's right.
okay.
Yeah. Oh, but the first move, doesn't he use the throwing star?
Yes.
When you're like, what? The rules have changed. Yeah. And then what happens? Rod pummels him, and he wins, and then he does this punch that he learned from Denise. See, Denise does Tai Chi, we learned earlier in the movie, and Rod had asked her to teach him the punch for how that secret Tai Chi punch that makes you poo.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What now?
And it's a really funny scene earlier in the movie. But
Totally didn't work.
Totally didn't work. Anyways, and then he goes and he does his punch because it's like the ultimate punch. And and of course we all know what happened to his stepdad. And he's like, yeah! And that's where the movie ends.
Yeah.
And now you know.
What?
Folks.
No.
Yeah. So some of you may want to watch it.
I think everyone should watch it because it's
feel
that
so
ridiculous.
It deserves not to be lost in theaters.
Yeah.
It deserves to be on like that list of films, like not like the Nacho Libre and the Napoleon Dynamites, you know, where you like open that cupboard and you're like, yeah, one of those movies. Anyone?
It does. It's
Yeah.
good.
I would want to watch it.
I
Yeah.
believe it.
From what I've heard, though, it seems like the humor is really random. Like, LOL random, like, you know, like this random Scrooge, like that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So, like,
it
no
is.
context. It's funny because it's random.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I've been
drinking green tea all gosh darn day. Rico at one point beats up a random person for no reason. Takes his hat and starts yelling, "I've been drinking green tea all gosh darn day," and it's so funny. But there's no context.
You don't understand what happened. Yeah, it's yeah. There you go.
I'd give it a shot.
Yeah. Well, this has been Lost in Theaters. Thank you for being our first guest.
Yeah.
Thank you for having
Now
us.
the bar is set so high.
So very high.
And we hope to. Oh, you can if you want. You can follow us on Twitter for updates about when our podcasts come out. Yeah. Do we know how to use Twitter?
No.
No.
And you're on Apple Podcasts
We
now?
are. Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
Spotify.
Yeah.
Carrier pigeons? You have that technology?
That is yet to come.
The problem is the carrier pigeons are so rare these days.
I look for
Okay.
smoke signals instead.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's more readily
Yeah.
available,
Gotcha.
definitely.
Although in this weather.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
raining, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a problem. Anyways, thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.